the smartest film critic in the world, Cole Smithy.
Hi, this is Cole Smithy with ColeSmithy.com and your guide to what to see and what to avoid at the movies this week. Further evidence that no one in Hollywood knows how to tell a story anymore, Godzilla starts out promisingly enough before slipping into a snooze fest by the end of its first act.
You are not fooling anybody when you say that what happened was a natural disaster.
A cool post-World War II era credit sequence depicts a US military attempt to rid the world of a barely viewed Godzilla. An atomic bomb falls directly on the creature, whose prehistoric spikes protrude from the Pacific Ocean's surface like a small jagged island stuck somewhere near the Philippines. A gaggle of Americans watches the violent event through binoculars from an island that isn't as safe a distance away from the explosion as they imagine. Bye-bye, suckers. Cut to late 90s Japan, where nuclear plant engineering expert Joe Brody, played by Bryan Cranston of Breaking Bad, and his equally qualified wife Sandra, played by Juliette Binoche, both work. Cranston and Binoche deliver such energized performances that you hang on their every word and action. Cranston doesn't just chew scenery, he owns the movie. These are the kind of hyper-articulate and intelligent characters you want to see grapple with a juiced-up prehistoric monster the size of the Statue of Liberty. Sadly, Cranston's and Binoche's presences are a short-lived ruse. As soon as we take the bait, believing that screenwriter Max Borenstein and director Gareth Edwards know what they're doing, the filmmakers torpedo the pair and restart the narrative with far less intriguing figures, namely that generic kid from the Kick-Ass movies, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Elizabeth Olsen in super sincerity mode as his long-distance wife. Taylor Johnson plays Ford Brody, a rah-rah Navy soldier to Cranston's fading character. Ford is a bomb disposal specialist. Swapping out Cranston and Binoche with Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen is a cheat akin to substituting saltines for filet mignon. Taking into account the time squandered with the film's false start and the long-delayed introduction of Godzilla, the giant lizard doesn't show up until the film's final half hour, you end up with less than half of an already disappointing movie, unless you are looking for an excuse to take a really long nap.
You have no idea what's coming.
From the look of it, you'd think the filmmakers never even saw the original Japanese version from 1954. That film's huge multinational success owed considerably to its camp sensibilities. The original Godzilla focused much of its attention on the reactions by terrified Japanese citizens to inform the audience as to how to enjoy the movie. Fallout from the relatively recent nuclear bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki informed a dark reality-based atmosphere that the film's humor punctured with joyous results. It didn't hurt that a guy in a monster suit played Godzilla. After two abominable American versions of Godzilla, it's reasonable to determine that American filmmakers aren't capable of making a respectable adaptation, perhaps because they never had a dog in the race. This time around, Japanese nuclear reactors explode, reference Fukushima, bringing to life a couple of giant insect-like creatures termed mutos, massive unidentified terrestrial organisms. The box-headed mutos are in full display for much of the movie, but have all the personality traits of a can of pinto beans. There are plenty of scenes of American military soldiers running around doing stuff, but Godzilla goes oddly missing. Squandered performances come from David Strathairn in a storyline placeholder role as Navy Admiral William Stenz, and Ken Watanabe as Dr. Ichiro Shirazawa, an authority on mutos whose advice to let the monsters fight instigates the film's yawn-inducing climax. One of Godzilla's most grievous errors lies in its underwhelming use of 3D technology. Never does Godzilla's reptilian fist reach out in front of the viewer's face. His massive serpentine tail never swings out into the audience. The blue fire Godzilla breathes never breaks the proscenium window. the audience is left to wonder why the filmmakers even bothered with 3D at all if they weren't going to exploit the technology for its obvious, well-established potential to bring the monster off of the big screen and into our laps. Indie films and documentaries rule the day. Hollywood is broken because it believes in spectacle over story. In order for Hollywood to learn its lesson, the public needs to spend its movie dollars on better, smaller pictures such as Amma Asante's Belle or Alejandro Jodorowsky's The Dance of Reality. Comic book movies won't cut it, and neither will uninspired adaptations of Japanese films from a half-century ago. I give this poor effort a D+. My sleeper pick is Half of a Yellow Sun, and my guilty pleasure pick is $1 Million Arm. My must-have DVDs are Overlord from Criterion, Back in Crime from Kino Lorber, and Secrets of the Dead, Carthage's Lost Warriors from PBS. The final installment in Andrzej Wajda's war trilogy, following A Generation, made in 1954, and Kanal, made in 1956, is a coolly romantic wartime movie about Maciek, a young Polish resistance fighter whose demise coincides with Germany's surrender.
Nie. Nie pamiętasz? Kiedy to było?
Maciek's priorities shift beneath his feet on the night he is entrusted to assassinate Commissaire Shizuka, an incumbent communist leader in a small Polish town. Maciek fails earlier in the day to complete the mission. Maciek and his leftist comrades are even less tolerant of the region's communist factions than they are of the Nazis. To say that Wajda walks a delicate, politically charged tightrope is an understatement. Written by Jerzy Andrzejewski, Wajda opens the film with a medium shot of the crucifix steeple of a meager church. Maciek, played by Zbigniew Cybulski, and his commander Andrzej, played by Adam Polakowski, lie on the chapel's lawn in wait to kill the secretary of the district workers' party when his car approaches. Birds chirp. Maciek dozes. A little girl holding a bunch of freshly picked flowers approaches the men, requesting that they open the chapel door. Andrzej attempts to oblige the innocent girl's request. This is hardly the setting for an ambush. The seemingly tranquil scene carries the looming dramatic weight of a signature Hitchcock sequence. When Dranowski, a third double-crossing accomplice, gives the signal that the secretary's car is approaching, Maciek dawdles long enough to comment that he's waited for bigger things before grabbing a machine gun covered in ants from sitting on the grass. Maciek and Andrzej fire on the two men in the approaching car. Bullets from Maciek's gun catch the victim's clothes on fire after penetrating his back as he falls on the chapel's doorstep. These kinds of realistic details contribute to the film's youthful sense of soul-crushing melancholy that Zbigniew Cybulski projects in a role that earned him a title as the Polish James Dean. Cybulski's insouciant portrayal of a home army soldier with a romantic disposition is made iconic by the Ray-Ban sunglasses he rebelliously wears even at night. Equal parts incisive character study and trenchant dissection of Poland's frivolous political structure, Ashes and Diamonds sets as its poetic centerpiece a sudden affair that develops between Maciek and Kristina, a barmaid at the hotel where Commissar Shizuka is staying. To his surprise, Maciek's clumsy flirtations with Kristina work. Kristina arrives at his meager room in the same hotel, willing to share stories of their troubled lives and a night of sensual ecstasy. After making love, the newly minted couple goes on a nocturnal journey through the dangerous town that finds them seeking refuge from the rain in a bombed-out crypt where the men he killed earlier lie under sheets. Kristina reads from an inscription. So often are you as a blazing torch with flames of burning hemp falling about you flaming, you know not if the flames bring freedom or death, consuming all that you most cherish. Will only ashes remain and chaos whirling into the void?
Coraz to z ciebie jako strzaski smolnej.
Mychek lights a cigarette to blot out the damning accuracy of the poet Cyprian Norvid's words. Fate has already made its choice. Mychek must complete his mission. Thanks for watching, and visit colesmithy.com for more.